Hi there and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm covering the topic of simultaneous equations using the elimination method. It's really something that started in Form 3 and continued sometimes in Form 4, and it's done in maths. So please stay tuned for the rest of my video where I go through 3 questions and their detailed solutions. So this, everyone, is my number 1. So as you can see, there are 2 equations here and they exist simultaneously, hence the name simultaneous equations. So I've already listed out the notes, really, the steps to go through in order to get through a question like this, and it is a bit detailed. So let me begin with the first one. The first thing we need to do is to label the equations 1 and 2. Let's simply go like this, 1 and 2. So that's the first step. The second step, check the coefficients of x and see if they are the same. So my coefficients of x are 5 in equation 1 and 4 in equation 2. So these numbers are not the same. 5 and 4 are not the same numbers, right? If they are not the same, then move on to step 4. So I'll jump over here. If we found that both coefficients of x are not the same, then we check the coefficients of y to see if they are the same. So now let me check my y's. My y has minus 3 and positive 3. So that's interesting. They say then, if they are the same, we check the signs and of the values. If the y coefficients have the same sign, then we minus. If they have different signs, then we add. So what's going on here? In this first equation, my coefficient is minus 3. And in the second equation, my coefficient is positive 3. So I'm saying that they have the same number, 3 and 3, but one is a positive and one is a negative. So what they're saying is that if they have different signs, then we add. So when I say add, it means that we are doing the sums vertically. So let me show you how. So vertically meaning like this. This is going to be one sum. I'm adding these values going downwards. It's going to be my next sum. Again, adding, going downwards. Lastly, I'm going to add these values here, going downwards like this. So let me get my products. Here now with the 5x plus 4x, that will be 9x, minus 3y plus 3y, which will end up being minus 3y plus 3y, which will end up being 0y, right? So this is why it's called process of elimination, right? Because we have in this line here eliminated y. So I could just put plus 0y here. Lastly now, 9 plus 9, well, that's simply 18. So now, moving on to my next line. Seen here is that I simply have one unknown, which is just 9x is equal to 18, right? So my one unknown is x. So I can simply solve for x. I get x is 18 or 9, 2. So guys, I have now solved half of my question. I now know that x is 2. Now I need to solve for y. So coming down here now, they said, once I'm finished with this point, I go down to this point. By subtracting or adding the equations vertically, which is what we did, we end up with only one unknown. Solve for that one unknown, right? Done. Now, last part, once we have a value of x or y, then we can now substitute this value into any equation and find the other unknown. So I could simply say, substitute x is equal to 2 into equation 1. So that was 5x minus 3y is equal to 9. So that becomes 5 by 2 minus 3y is equal to 9. Simplifying like this, we get this. Minus 3y is equal to minus 1. So then y is equal to minus 1 on minus 3, which is 1/3. So then my answers are x is 2 and y is 1/3. And that, everyone, is the end of my first sum. Number 2 now. It's x plus 3y is equal to 12 and x plus y is equal to 8. So again, we have a whole list of notes here, but we don't need to go through each one for each question. Some points I would have to skip because it may be irrelevant. Now, one thing I must note, I mentioned in my notes that I referred to the letters x and y as my variables. Now, this could change because not all questions with simultaneous equations will come with an x or y. They may come with p and q, a and b. So simply change up the notes if you're taking them down, and you could put in whatever letter that suits you instead. So now, first point, label equations 1 and 2. So that's the easiest point of all, 1 and 2. Done. check the coefficients of x and see if they are the same. Are they the same here? 1 and 1. Nice, they are the same. If they're not the same, then move on to step 4. So no, I don't need to move to step 4. I could just continue on step 3. So, and it says, once the coefficients have the same sign, then we minus. If they have different signs, then we add. So we have number 1 and 1 here. That's positive 1 and positive 1. So that means I could minus. So I'm now going to minus vertically now for this question. Means I'm going to do my sum like this. 1x minus 1x is going to be my first sum. 3y minus positive y is going to be my second. 12 minus 8. Right? So the output of this now would now be 1x minus 1x will be 0x here. Y minus positive y. Now, I just always like to write it over if students get confused. So this minus and positive now will end up being a minus. So I'll end up getting 2y. So my output here would be 2y. And for the pink area, easiest of all, it would be 12 minus 8, which would simply be 4. So then I can move on to my next line. Remember, as I said, this is called process of elimination. So we have now eliminated the x variable. So I only have one unknown, which is y. So y is simply 4 divided by 2, 2. So that's half of my question finished now. So now they said, I've done this part here. Now I need to work out my next unknown. So I could say substitute y is equal to 2 into any equation, 1 or 2. I'll just simply go with 1. And what was my equation? It was x plus 3y is equal to 12. So it will be x plus 3 by 2 is equal to 12. X plus 6 is equal to 12. So x is equal to 12. Take away 6. X is 6. So that, everybody, brings me to the end of my second sum, which was x. The answers are x is equal to 6 and y is equal to 2. So now moving on to my third and final sum. So far in examples 1 and 2, what I found was that I got my coefficients, either be it x or y, to be the same, right? The values were the same. One question, they had the same sign, and the other one, they had different signs. So now in this particular example, I did this one on purpose. I'm going to do one where the coefficients are not the same. So the steps are the same. You label, and then you analyze your coefficients. So I'm looking at 3 and 2, different numbers. So we don't like that. Then we're looking at 5 and 3, different numbers again. We don't like that either. The reason why we wouldn't like that is because what it's telling us, because they're different numbers, we have a little more work to do. So I'm jumping down to this section here. And it says, if we found that the coefficients of both x and y are not the same, then we need to make them the same. We do this by multiplying or dividing by the LCM of the coefficients. Once we make either x or y the coefficients the same, then we proceed to ask if these values, which are the same, have the same sign or different signs. And the process is the same after that. So simply at this point here, we could just choose. Are we going to choose to deal with x or choose to deal with y? I will choose to deal with x. So looking at 3x and 2x, the LCM of 3 and 2 is 6. So if I took the equation 1 and I multiplied it by 2, I will get a 6x here. But I need to multiply the entire equation. So equation 1 multiplied by 2 will give me 6x plus 10y is equal to 12. So that now is going to be called equation 3. So now I'm going to repeat the same process for equation 2, but I'm going to multiply it by 3. Why do I multiply this by 3? Because I need to get a 6x here as well. So this one is multiplying by 3 and this one is multiplying by 2. So multiplying by 3 will give me 6x here. 3 by 3 will give me 9y. 3 by 5 will give me 15. So this is equation 4. So now I could go back to analyzing my coefficients. I have 6 and 6, positive and positive, same number, same sign, so I will minus. So again, I do these questions vertically. Now, my first piece is 6x, take away 6x, and of course we know that would be 0x. 10y, take away 9y, will end up being 1y. 12, take away 15 will end up being minus 3. So now I have y is minus 3. So that is the end of my first piece. Again, we say substitute y is equal to minus 3 into equation 1, and that's just my personal choice. I will get 3x plus 5y is equal to 6. 3x plus 5 by minus 3 is equal to 6. 3x minus 15 is equal to 6. 3x is equal to 6 plus 15. So then I'll get 3x is equal to 21. X is equal to 21 divided by 3, 7. So that, everyone, takes me to the end of my third and final sum. X is 7 and y is minus 3. All of that, I hope that you understand all the steps. I know my notes are a bit long and detailed. However, I think that if you go through them thoroughly, you will see that it's useful, right? So please feel free to take down my notes and try these examples and even do more sums to make sure that you get it. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning into one of my videos.